Did they have wildly differing needs?
No. Optus and Seven were quite similar. NBC. Oh no, so yeah. I'll give myself Fox US. Fox US were the American rights holders, and they came out here big time. I suppose some of you saw the studio setup they had down under the Harbour Bridge there. They came out here big time, but all their group matches were in New Zealand. They came out here big time with the absolute dead certain knowledge that they were going to get through to the semi-finals and final. And once they didn't, and they had about half the IBC as well. They had the you guys that have worked on events before, the NBCs, the Fox Americas of this world. They like their real estate in an IBC, and they bigger and better it's got to be. They obviously they paid for their space. They were a lot less staff members after the team went home. A lot of their staff went home with it. The Seven and Optus literally had a very, very small IBC space. They were happy to take the host broadcasts. They did supplement with their own commentary. And the only other major presence in the was the Canadians. They were out, there was not much. There's not a great deal of interest from the Europeans because of the time zone. I also think because people were playing hardball with the EBU in the fact that up until this latest Women's World Cup, if you had the rights to the Men's World Cup, we'll throw the winners in for free. FIFA decided in their wisdom that this time they were going to charge not quite as much, but almost as much for the Women's World Cup as they were for the men's. I think their approach would have been better to say, well, we'll give you a discount on this one, but get ready for the next Women's World Cup because it's going to be on par with the men's. And I think we've found from the interest worldwide. Apparently Fox was saying their ratings, even after the Americans had gone home, their ratings in the continental US were incredible, considering the time zone that the match was going into.
Well, they do like to come in big, come in hard, and then if they're not winning, they go home. So.
Give them a bat and ball and go home.
That's it. So, does anyone have any questions for John about
no technical questions?
The tournament itself?
Yeah, John, it might not be an area that you've become aware of, but I was interested to know what the feedback was about the remote production. Was it successful as a remote production? Was it valuable? Did it save them the money they could have?
Yes, it did. They were very happy with it. We were happy with the way it all worked. HBS, I believe, were pleased with the results. Me, obviously. But no, I think it will be the model going forward. It does make sense. As I said, maybe it's that where you locate your IBC in reference to where the remote production is, or whether you set up remote production via a flyaway sort of scenario, I don't know. But I think it was very successful, and I think that is the model that they'll take into the States, Canada and Mexico for the next Men's World Cup, which of course they've expanded into. I think, if you've ever pulled on a football team, you'll be able to play in the next Men's World Cup. There seems to be more teams than ever.
Do we have any other questions?
What backups did you have in place in case the would you use them in the future?
Basically, just the standard. We just had to.
Sorry, John. So the question was about redundancy and backups with regard to remote production.
I mean, if everything else had failed, we would have gone to camera one. But we had diverse fibres from each venue, and we had satellite uplinks as well. So we had sort of built-in bases. So.
But as far as the business of sport, if you're able to go into that area a little bit, as far as obviously putting on an event, financial investment, technology investment, the marketing arm, etc., are you able to give us any insight or intel as far as with the whole pie for the business of those soccer or football matches?
Yeah.
As far as when they got, like, did they get their return on investment? And like, so when are you allowed to disclose how much they had to invest in yourselves, and then with all the value that yourselves gave to it to broadcast it into that big footprint, are you able to throw any numbers at us, like viewership, or how much it cost them, how much they got out of it, how well you guys did out of it, anything like that at all you're allowed to disclose?
Yeah, well, I mean, basically I was just on a salary. So,
Okay. No bonuses or nothing?
Yeah, we did get a bonus, so obviously
Oh,
they were
good.
happy enough to give us a bonus.
Yeah.
I don't have any access to real figures. One thing I would say, and I think in some respects we might have overscoped it. I a number of times said to FIFA Zurich, I don't think we're going to need this number of commentary positions in Perth. We did cut it back from what originally they were going to be like 50 commentary positions at every venue. And I mean, the other tricky thing is when you've got a semi-final venue and a final venue, you don't know who's going to be playing there, and therefore who's going to want a commentary position. So you probably do have to overscope at those venues. But when you've got, Perth was just first round matches only. So I think, if we realistically looked at it, we could probably have saved overlay money and probably therefore sold a few more seats with the number of camera positions, etc., etc. But from a finals point of view, we had 4 presentation platforms that football stadium. Sorry.
Okay, so just with my add-on question, again, only if you're allowed to disclose,
Yeah.
and there may be reasons you can't get right into it. When the USA soccer team didn't perform at least as well as what the Yankees and the insiders over there had have expected, are you allowed to say whether that cost yourselves money, or did it cost them money? Did it throw a real monkey wrench into the situation, or it's like you guys got the contract, it went well, and if they didn't win the soccer games, bad luck to them?
That's pretty much the case. And I mean, they had signed up. They had more visits to Australia than any other broadcaster. They had committed themselves to their studio set up at the Harbour Bridge there. They committed themselves to the IBC space that they decided that they needed. That's all signed, done and dusted, paid for. But they committed to what pitch side presentation positions they may have booked, or commentary positions. So that's part of the deal. That's their risk analysis that they need to undertake.
Yeah.
And as I said, according to the feedback we got, even after the Americans had departed the tournament, their ratings, considering the hour of the day, were still extremely high. That there was still enormous interest in the Women's World Cup in the US. To actually, I think that they would say, albeit that we didn't get through to the pointy end, we were very happy with the result from a broadcast point of view. I think they probably may not have quite spent as much if they'd known that they weren't going to get through. But I think that value for money, I think they went home quite happy.
Thank you.
we have any other questions? All right. Well, I'd like everybody to thank John for.
Thank you very much.